warding mission there, but doesn't end up going down. Able to back himself out with a TP. I'll slow down now. Yao's going to fire up some camps. Na'Vi probably just waiting for that next Roche respawn. And I guess the big question, Gods, is can Na'Vi contest it? Can they go into the pit, fight LGD head on, or are they going to have to just let them take the Aegis and then defend the high ground?
I think they definitely can contest LD, and I think it's a good idea to try and make that play. They have a better shot fighting around the Roshan pit, I feel, than just defending against a slow, methodical LGD siege with an Aegis Tiny, who's going to have an Assault Crest for the next push as well. So, to me, I think they really want to try and finish out Salzag Scepter. Dendy's even giving him the jungle farm over himself to try and do so, but
he's 80 gold away, but look who's running down mid right now. LGD.
He needs the point booster still. He's actually
you're right.
He's even further than that, so it's actually quite a ways for Artstyle.
It's only got the 2 components. Yeah, it's going to be sometime. I don't know if he's going to have it before
probably
the next push.
Yeah, not for the next Roshan for sure. It feels like
it's a key item with the triple BKB.
They just can't. I feel like Na'Vi. This is the time for not even about taking chances, but making a play happen. I think sitting back here is going to be a mistake for Na'Vi. They need to get active, use their smokes, and find some kills.
Well, hard to smoke gank when LGD are just hugging their tier 2 mid.
LGD is an incredibly hard team just in general to smoke against because you always know they're going to be grouped up. Like, that's the thing. It's like you're not finding a solo pick-off like a Secret S team where, you know, like Arteezy is always often solo split pushing and playing kind of deep. With LGD, you're just like, they're grouped as 5. If we smoke, we're going to have to 5v5. Do we want a 5v5? And Navi's probably saying not really.
And even if they're spread out, it's never like, it's either because they have an idea that it's safe. Like if they see a couple of Na'Vi heroes and they split push with the Tiny Wisp, or they're not really that far away. They're all in the same general area of the map. I mean,
yeah,
and this dates back, I mean, even to when they were playing in G League Season 2.
They're 5-manning Ancients right now, and they see heroes on the map. They have vision of Na'Vi towards the bottom lane, although Na'Vi will deny them some of that vision now, but LGD were just grouped up as 5 killing Ancients. Now they'll split up a little, but even like when they split up, they're still very much in a kind of similar quadrant of the map.
All about the next Roshan now.
Here's
Na'Vi looking like they may want to make their play. They get a ward up. Suniko surging forward right now. Dire Vision doesn't actually see him just yet, but he's going to walk up the hill. There's a dust here. The gem is a little bit farther to the north. Xiaowei not in position. Suniko gets eyes out for Na'Vi, but do they know that everybody else is waiting up the hill? Na'Vi thinking they might want to go, but they just want somebody a little more isolated as a target.
Very hard to go in a Tiny when you know there's an Irising somewhere behind him.
And maybe even a Dazzle, potentially. And all the while, there's a Tiny Illusion top lane just clubbing down this range Drax.
Maybe was just baiting there. Like, even if you get him with a Blink Hold before he BKB, so you can actually dump your SF damage on him, like you Blink Rec Room, it's not going to end well.
LGD's turn to smoke.
Oh,
they're wrapping around. Suniko.
He's got a gem. He does not want to lose this.
Oh, no. He's got the TP out, but he hasn't moved just yet. Where's their
Dazzle's not here.
They have a dust, but they didn't know he was exactly there. The Dazzle backs off.
Yeah. Dazzle's the one with the... Spirit Breaker is dust and Dazzle's the gem, so...
Still, they lost their ranged Rex. Just the illusions of maybe picked up the rune earlier, doing their work. And they're still hunting Suniko. Oh, God, they found him. Avalanche coming through. Where's the gem?
Reveal his position.
Where's the gem? The gem not quite here yet. Xiaowei trying to get in position, but the call down coming through. Suniko, he barely escapes. Oh, that is so important there.
Xiaowei was positioned very far back and defensively because he doesn't want to get jumped because he needs to make sure he gets Graves off in this fight if needed. So it feels like they need to give the gem... Yeah, they gave the gem just now to Yao. If Yao had the gem there, Suniko would have been easy pickings.
Oh, God. Would he ever?
They're going to go for the Roche contest. They're going to be too late, though.
Here comes Na'Vi on the rotation. Avos jumps in, but already the Aegis picked up by Sylar, who's going to grab it. Yao tanking in the pit, clubbing for all his work, but not doing a whole hell of a lot. Sylar comes back for round 2. Now he BKBs, and Maybe's there. Welcome to the bash zone. He jumps in, delivers the toss. It's 3 dead. Almost every core cleaned up. And Suniko in a headlong retreat. He's got no TP. This time he will lose the gem. It's 4 down. Aegis was popped at a bare minimum, and they did manage to snag the cheese for Dendy. But what does it matter? LGD in through the bottom lane. Ranged Rax dropping and dead. That's already 1.5, and they'll be looking for more. They, relocate maybe back. That's going to delay the push a little bit. But Sylar's in now. It's his turn to work on buildings. Slightly slower going. but it looks like he'll get it nonetheless as Havost is zoned back by a missile. No buyback outside of the Queen of Pain, and hell, even if they have 5 gods, it just feels like they are totally outmatched when it comes to the damage department. LGD wrapping on mid, looking for the Megas. They want the GG here. It'll be another point for them if they can grab it up to 12 with a chance at grabbing 3 more and going up to 14 if they can win game 2. There's the buyback, the last hold for Na'Vi. They don't want to give this one up just yet. In comes another strike focusing on Dendy. BKB from Yowie charges forward. He gets another kill. Havost just gets wrecked. He BKB's far too late. Wouldn't have mattered. And Na'Vi absolutely trucked, demolished, utterly destroyed by LGD. I mean, just look at the graph. It was close up until the 25-minute mark, almost dead even. And then just the plummet as LGD grab objective after objective and cruise to victory.
Yeah, LGD's mid-game is just so scary to deal with. You know they're going to be grouped up, but there's still... You can't really easily split push them, especially when they go for this IO Tiny. They had so much catch potential. Yao's Spirit Breaker was charging all over the map. Saniko had a tough game, and he ended up 2-10 on the Bounty Hunter, but it was very hard for him to move anywhere. If a Sentry Ward ever caught vision of him, he got charged, and it was easy kills for LGD, who just punished Na'Vi countless times just for going on slight kind of like expeditions to get information and just scouting intel. It just wasn't working for Na'Vi.
With this loss, Na'Vi at best can scrape out a tie here. They would have 4 points, and even with a win in their last match, God, seems like they're very likely going to the lower bracket, and it's going to be a tough run from there. But, well, to talk more about those scenarios as well as what we can expect to see in Game 2, we're going to hand it off to the analysts.
Thank you very much. Just we're back here after Game 1 between these two teams. Na'Vi going up against LGD. And going forward, I mean, we knew that it was going to be a hard matchup for them. I mean, sure, you want that 2-0, but it was going to be a monumental task. They didn't get to pull out the first game, but up to the midpoint, I mean, it looked like it could go pretty even. Na'Vi was putting up a good fight. How did you view that game, Syndren?
It was just the same kind of problem that we saw, I think, was against Secret yesterday, where, again, they actually, their laning stage in their early game, their aggression that they're known for, they actually pull it off really well. Once again, they get ahead in the game, and then you get to the mid game and you're like, okay, so what's the actual game plan here? How are you going to win? I mean, it's unfortunate that they can keep playing. I feel like some of the strongest early game that we see in the tournament, like they seem to consistently be doing well early and convert it to so few victories. It's a flaw in their game plan or in their leadership or in their shot calling or whatnot in that mid game. And once again, if they don't solve that problem, then it doesn't matter how well they play in the early game. I would assume they have identified the problem themselves, but being able to fix that so short notice with the playstyle that they have might be a really hard task.
Ben, what about you? What do you think about LGD on the other hand? I mean, just going forward, do you really think just more and more every day they're proving time and time again that they really can be a competing champion for TI5?
Well, this one was a little difficult just because they used almost the exact same lineup that they used versus Secret, which I thought was really smart, by the way, because they were playing while Na'Vi was playing, so there's no way Na'Vi had a chance to watch that game because they were in a pretty long 2-game series.
Yeah.
So if they used the exact same thing, they have no idea what Secret did. They have no idea how exactly they played it and how they utilized it to win the game. But overall, it's pretty much showcases LGD's strength of laning isn't their most important, although maybe proved us wrong with the Leshrac. I think their mid-game decision-making and always being S5 and, really utilizing the potential of their lineup. Like, the Disruptor didn't really do that much just because, like, people died, blink, and then just people got destroyed really quickly. And you can glimpse, but it still takes a second for them to glimpse back, and they didn't really have a good counter to LGD's game plan. And of course, their plan of victory is just way more solid. It's like, we're going to farm way more than you with the gyro and a tiny, and then we have higher mobility with the wisp and the tiny. So it's the pressure's always on the other team, or else they're going to lose out as the game goes 30-40.
Winter, if we look back at the draft phase, I mean, at the very end, you were talking about, well, they need someone to start the fight. Spiritbreaker was a great round out for that. But overall, do you think just the Wisp Tiny, something that teams really should put on their spotlight when they're drafting against LGD?
I think against the Wisp Tiny, like what Ben mentioned, with the addition of the gyro as well, it's a huge problem. They are very strong in the early game, and very strong in the late game as well. And in the early game, if you don't do well, or even if you do well against like what Na'Vi, they did well, but later into the game, they got picked off way too many times with the relocate and the charge, and they give away kills, which is really bad since their lineup doesn't fare as well as what LGD had. So Na'Vi had a lineup which has you have less room for error, I would say. Whereas LGD has more room for error, and they have much stronger heroes in the overall in general throughout the game as well. So it's really hard for Navi to win if they make mistakes. Like their job just doesn't allow mistakes to happen.
All right, well, we'll be taking a quick look at the final moments here in Game 1 as we continue to talk about scenarios for Navi specifically. Obviously, LGD looking really strong. At the very least, they'll probably end up second in Group A. But for Navi, assuming they do go down to the lower bracket, how much do you think they have a chance of lasting that out and maybe putting up a fight in the best-of series coming up later?
I think the first point is they need to reduce, they need to reduce the amount of mistakes they've been making and have better execution in general. And like the team play is sometimes we see they're not on the same page, they're not together, unlike LGD, which is always they're on the same page. They're moving as a unit, they're playing much more like a team. Navi seems like at moments they are divided in their decisions. So someone goes in too early or someone is out too far in the map and gets caught. They're not playing as a team as well as I would hope for.
Yesterday we were discussing how overall in TI5 we look at the top 8, bottom 8, and then you guys said there's probably a bigger difference between the bottom 4 and then the third quarter, I guess you could say, from the top down, right, for 8th through 12th. Where do you think Navi falls in on that? Again, I mean, a lot of these problems when we talk about it, it always seems to come down to those teams on the bottom half, they don't know how to close out games. They all have that early aggression. They have those mechanics to be able to carry through, but they don't have a long-term plan in how to close out games. Where does Navi kind of fall in that position?
I think their weakness of ending games, they're still going to be able to bully the weaker teams enough in the early game that they will get a big enough lead that it won't matter. So I think right now I'd probably place them 9th to 12th, and then the 13th to 16th teams will just, their early game will be too weak, and Navi will just abuse that and get a 15k gold lead, at which point they should be comfortable enough with pushing high ground.
Okay. Now, LGD, of course, we saw the match then against Secret, where they did tie 1-1, and that was a pretty good showcase. Overall, do you think LGD, other than now and then focusing too much on the late game and maybe getting a little bit too worried about covering all their bases, would you say they're well-rounded enough to be called kind of, the other contender? Because Secret, that was the thing, right? It was their drafts are good, and sure, they might give up a little bit in the early game, but they always know how to come back from a game, and they always know how to close it out when the chance is given. Ben, LGD, would you rank kind of pretty much in the same rank if we were looking at, let's say, the aspects of a hexagon? Would you say they're pretty much well-rounded on all sides?
I think so. I think the main weakness I saw in the game that they lost was when you catch them by surprise, they're not as quick to adapt. I think when the game goes in, Xiaowei probably gives them a game plan and probably preps them on what's going to come up, how the supports are going to move, what they should be doing, and where he expects Secret to be. And then when Secret are in a place where they don't expect them to be, they don't converge and they're not as crisp in their execution or in grouping up. So I think you just have to play very unexpected. And again, the high ground push, I thought, and even the T2 tower push, it's oh my gosh, they're grouping up. They're scrambling. They get everyone together, and then it's too late. So I think that it's great that they have a unified game plan, but when things don't go as expected, they're clearly at a loss as to what to do instead of relying on their own innate abilities. I'm not saying that they're trusting too much in Xiaowei. It's just they have to be better prepared for the maneuvers that the opposing team is going to do. And this game, they didn't really feel like they were pressured. It's okay, yeah, we're behind in the early game, but we're very comfortable. We have the late game. We can just get 1 or 2 big team fights, which we will win with the relocate, and then get Aegis, and then just close out the game from there. And that's a pretty solid, concise game plan, which I don't think they were thrown off at any point during the game.
Yeah, you mentioned Xiaowei. Of course, we saw his story coming in. Of course, pretty unique story there too.